Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're taking a deep dive into a real classic of personal finance and early retirement, Your Money or Your Life by Vicki, Robin, and Joe Dominguez.
Oh, yeah. This one's a classic. It's not just about, like getting rich quick or anything. It's really about changing your mindset around money.
Yeah, I've heard that a lot,
Huh.
that it's about aligning your money with your values.
Exactly. And it all starts with this really interesting concept they introduce. The idea of money as life energy.
Life energy. Okay, I'm intrigued, but I've never thought of money like that before. So what do
Yeah.
they mean by life energy?
Well, let's think about it. You're trading hours of your life, your time, your energy to earn money,
Yes,
right?
that's true.
So every time you spend money, you're essentially spending a piece of your life.
Whoa, okay, yeah. So every purchase is like trading a little bit of my life for it.
Exactly. So it really makes you question, is this purchase really worth the hours I had to work to buy it? Is it really aligning with what I value most?
Wow. I'm starting to see how this could really shift your perspective.
Right. Like suddenly those impulse buys don't feel so tempting anymore.
Definitely makes you think twice before, grabbing that extra coffee or, whatever it is you tend to splurge on.
Exactly. And that leads us to another key idea in the book, financial independence. You mentioned before the show, you're saving for a down payment on a house, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So, this whole concept might really speak to you because financial independence in the book, it's not about winning the lottery or becoming a millionaire.
Oh, thank goodness, because those always seemed pretty far out of reach for me.
Right. It's more about having enough to live the life you want without being tied to a job you might not love.
Okay, that sounds much more achievable and appealing than winning the lottery. I like that a lot more.
Right. It gives you so much more freedom and control over your life. And the best part is this book actually gives you a step-by-step plan to get there.
Oh, a plan. Tell me more.
Yeah, they call it the 9-step program. And it really walks you through the whole process of transforming your relationship with money.
9 steps. That's a lot to unpack.
Hmm.
Where do we even begin?
So the first 2 steps are all about facing reality. The first step is calculating your total lifetime earnings. It might sound scary, but it can be super eye-opening.
Okay, I can see how that would put things into perspective.
Right. It makes you really confront how much of your life you've already traded for money. And then step 2 is tracking all your spending.
No.
That might sound tedious, but the idea is you can't change what you don't track.
Yeah, I've heard that before. It's all about awareness.
Exactly. So once you have a clear picture of where your money's going, then you can start making more intentional choices.
Okay, so we've faced reality. What's next?
Steps 3 and 4 are all about aligning your spending with your values. Step 3 is figuring out your real hourly wage.
Real hourly wage. What's that different from my regular hourly rate?
So it takes into account all the costs associated with your job, like commuting, work clothes, childcare, even that emotional toll of a stressful job.
Well, I never thought about it like that.
It's wild, right? It gives you a much more accurate picture of what you're truly earning per hour of your life.
Okay, I'm already seeing how this could be really eye-opening.
Yeah. And then step 4 is all about evaluating if your spending brings you genuine fulfillment. Are you actually getting joy from those purchases, or are you just kind of on autopilot?
I think we've all been there.
For sure.
Yeah.
And the book gives you a bunch of exercises and prompts to help you figure out, is this purchase aligned with my values? Is it going to bring me lasting joy? Or is it just a fleeting distraction?
Hmm. Some tough questions, but valuable ones.
Totally. And then steps 5 and 6 are all about taking control.
Or taking control. Okay, I like that.
Yeah. So step 5 is creating a monthly financial picture. It's like a snapshot of your income expenses, and you know how you're tracking toward your goals.
Okay, so like a regular financial checkup. Sounds good.
Exactly. And then step 6 is where you get down to the nitty-gritty and start reducing unnecessary expenses.
Ah, the dreaded budgeting part.
I know, right? But the book actually has a really refreshing take on it.
Oh, really? Tell me more.
Yeah, hold that thought for a second, though, because I'm really curious about that monthly financial picture from step 5. I've tried those budgeting apps, and they always felt so overwhelming.
Oh, I know what you mean.
It was just too much detail for me to keep up with.
Yeah.
So what's different about the approach in Your Money or Your Life?
It's way simpler. It's more visual. They encourage you to track your income and expenses in broad categories so you can see the big picture without getting lost in the details.
Well, that sounds so much less intimidating.
Right. It's about awareness and empowerment, not, guilt and restriction.
I like that a lot better.
And that brings us back to step 6, reducing those unnecessary expenses.
Hmm.
It's not about being super frugal or depriving yourself.
Okay, that's a relief.
It's more about finding creative and enjoyable ways to spend less without, sacrificing your quality of life.
Oh, so like finding little ways to save without feeling like you're missing out. Exactly. Like maybe instead of going out to eat every night, you try cooking more at home,
Yeah.
or you find free activities to do instead of, always spending money on entertainment.
Yeah, those are all great ideas. So I'm really curious now, where do steps 7 and 8 fit into all of this?
Yeah, so steps 7 and 8, this is where things start to get really exciting.
Oh, exciting. I like the sound of that.
Yeah, because this is where you start actually building towards that financial independence we were talking about.
Okay, bring it on.
All right, so step 7 is all about making your money work for you, investing and saving.
Oh, okay. Investment strategies. I was wondering when we get to that.
Right. So the ultimate goal here is to reach what they call the crossover point.
Crossover point. What's that?
So imagine this. You wake up one morning and you know the money your investments are making, that passive income, it's enough to cover all your bills.
Oh, wow. That would be amazing.
Right. You're no longer dependent on a paycheck.
Yeah, that's total financial freedom.
Exactly. And the book actually lays out some specific strategies to help you get there. Like one of the big things they talk about is index funds.
Index funds. I've heard of those, but I don't really know much about them.
So basically, they're like baskets of stocks that track a particular market index, like the S&P 500, for example.
Okay.
And the idea is that by investing in a diversified index fund, you're spreading your risk and,
I see.
potentially benefiting from the overall growth of the market.
Okay, that makes sense. Spreading the risk, so you're not putting all your eggs in one basket.
Exactly. And have you ever thought about investing in index funds, or have you explored any other investment options?
I've dabbled a little bit here and there, but I'll be honest, investing always seemed kind of intimidating to me.
Yeah, I get that. It can feel like a whole different language sometimes.
It does. But index funds, they sound like a good place to start, especially if they help minimize risk.
Yeah, for sure. And, even if you have a solid investment strategy, it can still be hard to stay motivated on this journey to financial independence, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure. It's a marathon, not a sprint.
Totally. So that's where step 8 comes in. They encourage you to track your progress visually.
Visually, what do you mean by that?
Like you literally create a graph. One line shows your monthly expenses and the other line shows your growing passive income.
Oh, wow, that's a cool idea.
Right. As you see those lines getting closer and closer, it's like super motivating. It's like a visual reminder of, how far you've come and how close you are to achieving your goal.
Yeah, I love that. I'm a very visual person, so that would definitely work for me. But, it sounds like the book emphasizes that reaching financial independence, it's not actually the end goal.
You're right. Step 9, that final step, it's all about living a purposeful life.
Okay, so financial independence, it's not the destination. It's more like a tool to get you where you want to go.
Exactly. It's about, having the freedom and resources to design a life that's truly aligned with your passions and your values.
Wow, that's powerful. So it's not just about having a bunch of money sitting in the bank. It's about what that money allows you to do and how it allows you to live.
Exactly. Like if you could travel the world or spend more time with your family or pursue a creative passion or, whatever it is that lights you up, that's what financial independence enables you to do.
Yeah, I love that. It's about freedom, choice, and purpose.
Exactly. And what's really amazing is that this book was originally published back in 1992.
Wow, that's a while ago.
Right. But its message, it's honestly more relevant than ever today.
Yeah, especially in our culture of hustle and
Yeah.
consumerism and always needing more, more, more.
Totally. It's like a breath of fresh air. It's a reminder that there's a different way to live a more intentional and fulfilling life.
I totally agree. Speaking of consumerism earlier, you mentioned that the book has a different approach to reducing expenses.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm really curious to hear more about that because it's easy to fall into the trap of thinking, financial freedom means deprivation.
Right? Like you have to give up everything you enjoy.
Exactly. But it sounds like your money or your life offers a more balanced perspective.
Absolutely. It's not about living like a monk or denying yourself any pleasure.
Okay, good.
It's more about finding creative and enjoyable ways to spend less without sacrificing your quality of life.
Okay, I like that. So do they give any examples of how to do that?
Yeah, they share a bunch of great stories. Like there's one about a woman who realized she was spending a fortune on takeout coffee every week.
Oh, I can relate to that.
Right. So instead of, giving up coffee altogether, she invested in a good coffee maker and started making her own lattes at home.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Right. She saved a ton of money, and she actually found more enjoyment in the ritual of making her own coffee.
Yeah, I can see that. It's like taking back control and being more mindful.
Exactly. It's about those little shifts that can make a big difference.
I love that. Little shifts, big difference.
Yeah.
Have you found any similar strategies that have worked for you personally?
Yeah, definitely. One thing I've implemented is something they call conscious spending.
Conscious spending. I like that.
So basically, before I buy anything, I just pause and ask myself, do I really need this? Will it bring me lasting joy? Or am I just buying it out of habit or boredom?
Those are great questions to ask yourself.
Right. It's so simple, but it's helped me become so much more mindful about my spending.
Yeah, it's amazing how just taking a moment to pause and reflect can really shift your perspective.
Totally. And what's interesting is how the book also addresses the emotional side of money.
Oh, yeah, that's
Or
something you don't often see in personal finance books.
Right. But it's so important. Our emotions play a huge role in our financial decisions.
For sure. So what kind of insights does the book offer in that area?
Well, one of the big things they talk about is the connection between our spending habits and our underlying emotional needs.
Oh, interesting.
Like they share this story about a man who realized his compulsive shopping sprees, they were stemming from this deep-seated feeling of insecurity. Yeah, he was using material possessions to try to fill this void.
Yeah, I can see that. Shopping can be a way to escape from your feelings.
Totally. But once he became aware of this pattern, he was able to address the root cause of his overspending and find healthier ways to cope.
Okay, so it's about getting to the root of the problem,
Yeah.
not just treating the symptoms.
Exactly. And it makes you wonder how many of our own spending habits are driven by these unconscious emotional patterns.
That's a great question. Have you ever noticed any emotional connections to your own spending?
Oh, for sure. I used to justify impulse buys by telling myself I deserve it, after a stressful day.
Oh, yeah. I've been there.
Right. It was my way of rewarding myself and kind of escaping from negative emotions.
Yeah, I totally get that.
But after reading Your Money or Your Life, I realized I was just avoiding dealing with the stress.
Yeah, you're just putting a Band-Aid on the problem.
Exactly. So now, instead of reaching for my credit card, I try to find healthier ways to manage my stress, like, going for a walk or meditating or talking to a friend.
Those are all great coping mechanisms.
Right. It's about taking care of yourself in a more holistic way.
I love that. So we've explored the 9 steps, delved into practical strategies, and even touched on the emotional side of money. It's clear that your money or your life goes way beyond your typical personal finance
Oh,
book.
oh, absolutely. It's like a whole philosophy of life.
It is. It's about aligning your finances with your values, finding true fulfillment, creating a life of purpose and meaning.
And what else is really cool is how it highlights the power of community.
Oh, community. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, they really encourage readers to connect with others who are on this same path,
Okay.
to share experiences, support each other, celebrate successes together.
Ah, I love that. It's like you're all in it together.
Exactly. It makes the journey so much more rewarding.
I totally agree. Before we wrap up our deep dive into this incredible book,
Mm.
I'd love to hear your final thoughts on what makes your money or your life so special and why it's resonated with so many people for over 3 decades.
That's a great question. I think what makes this book so unique is its ability to connect the dots between our finances and our deepest values and aspirations.
Oh, I like that.
It's not just about managing money, it's about managing our lives, our
Yeah.
time, our energy, our purpose.
Yeah, it's about living intentionally, making conscious choices, creating a life that really reflects who we are and what matters most to us.
You said it perfectly.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground today, but I have a feeling this conversation, it's just the beginning.
I think so
Your
too.
money or your life. It's a book that really stays with you.
It does. It makes you think differently about pretty much everything.
Definitely. And you know what? Let's take a quick pause here to let all these insightful ideas sink in.
Yeah, good idea.
We'll be right back with some final reflections and takeaways. All right, we're back and ready for some final thoughts on your money or your life. We've covered a lot of ground. That 9-step program, the stories, those powerful questions about, viewing money as life energy.
Really makes you stop and think, huh?
It does. I'm walking away with a whole new perspective on financial independence. It's not just about the money. It's about freedom and choice and aligning your life with your values.
You got it. And remember that question I asked you earlier about, if you could design your ideal life without financial constraints, what would that look like?
Oh, yeah. What about you? What came up for you when you thought about that?
Well, for me, it'd be about flexibility,
Hmm.
being able to travel more, spend time on creative projects without worrying about the money, maybe even starting my own business, something that really aligns with what's important to me.
Oh, I love that. What about for you? What would financial freedom unlock for you?
Hmm, that's a good question. I think for me, it'd be more time with family and friends, more travel and exploration. Being able to pursue my passions without that pressure of, needing to earn a certain income.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah,
And the best part is this book, it gives you a real plan to make those dreams a reality.
it does. Those 9 steps are like a roadmap to financial freedom. Exactly. You can take control of your money, make conscious choices, and build a life that's both fulfilling and sustainable.
And you don't have to do it alone. I really love how the book emphasizes community, finding your tribe and supporting each other on this journey.
Oh, yeah, that's huge. Sharing experiences, celebrating successes, it makes the whole process so much more enjoyable.
Absolutely. This book, it's not just about personal finance, it's about personal growth connection and living a more intentional life.
Well said. It's about finding true wealth in all areas of your life, not just your bank account.
So well said.
Mm,
Well, we've come to the end of our deep dive, but I have a feeling this conversation is far from over.
me too. This is one of those books you can keep coming back to and finding new insights every
I
time.
think so too. If you're intrigued by what we've talked about today, I highly recommend checking out Your Money or Your Life for yourself.
Yeah, it's a classic for a reason, packed with practical advice, inspiring stories, and those thought-provoking questions that really get you thinking.
It might just spark a whole new chapter in your financial journey. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.